President Moon Jae-in, on a three-day state visit to Vietnam, held a bilateral summit with his Vietnamese counterpart, after which they adopted a joint declaration toward a future-oriented South Korea-Vietnam relationship. Our Chief China correspondent Moon Connyoung is traveling with the president. She files us this report from Hanoi.
Hanoi. As a capital of Vietnam, the city is in and of itself an epitome of a fascinating blend of the East and the West, combining traditional Sino-Vietnamese motifs with French flair. Largely unscathed by the decades of war, Vietnam's socialist-oriented market economy has become one of the fastest-growing economies in Southeast Asia. And President Moon is looking to raise the trade volume between the two countries to $100 billion by year 2020. Now that would make Vietnam South Korea's second largest trading partner, outstripped only by China. From a wreath-laying ceremony at the mausoleum of Vietnam's late president and revolutionary communist leader Ho Chi Minh to an official welcome ceremony at Vietnam's presidential palace, South Korean President Moon Jae-in took all the steps appropriate for a state visit, rounding up the last 25 years of friendly relations and setting out for a new quarter-century of a shared future. Since diplomatic relations were established in 1992, South Korea has become Vietnam's largest foreign investor and second biggest trading partner. Bilateral trade stood at $61.5 billion last year. Following a one-on-one between the leaders of Seoul and Hanoi, Presidents Moon and Quang adopted a joint declaration for a future-oriented relationship.
Quang 주석님께서는 2020년까지 현대화된 산업국가를 건설하고자 한다고 말씀하셨습니다. 저는 양국의 긴밀한 상생 협력이 베트남의 산업화 목표와 2020년까지 교역액 1천억 불이라는 공동의 목표 달성에 크게 기여하리라는 점을 강조했습니다.
The two countries agreed to hold annual summits to deepen their trust, foster economic cooperation that's reciprocal and mutually beneficial, make more efforts to strengthen the prosperous people-to-people network, and cooperate in bringing peace on the Korean Peninsula.
Vietnam highly commends South Korea's efforts to push for dialogue with North Korea to restore peace and solve the nuclear problem on the Korean Peninsula through peaceful talks.
The two leaders also witnessed the signing of several agreements promoting trade, transport, labor, and infrastructure cooperation. The underlying purpose of President Moon's Vietnam trip rests on two tenets. One, South Korea is quietly bolstering alliance with like-minded economies in the face of global trade protectionism. And two, perhaps more practically, Vietnam, as one of the closest allies of North Korea, is one that Pyongyang may look to for inspiration. Moon Connyoung, Arirang News, Hanoi.